What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Unplayable, the Conversation Lab. Here talking about Star Wars Unlimited here with Mike, the Rebel Spy. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. That was always the title.
It was always it.
For those right there.
New people are discovering our content. For those who don't understand why we would call it the Conversation Lab, for many times when the energy conversion lab was spoiled, Mike couldn't stop saying conversation instead of conversion. So it became the Conversation Lab.
I don't remember, why did I think that? I knew that wasn't the real name, but sometimes my brain does not work. And that was one of those times.
It's every time Jay tries to say Benthic two tubes and he says Bethnick instead of
two tubes.
And it drives me insane. But here we are at the Conversation Lab, and it's definitely not untitled anymore. But yeah. So I'm sipping my coffee from my Buc-ee's mug. Not sponsored, guys. Not sponsored. But we would love a Buc-ee's sponsor, because it is right now. It is -7 degrees where I live, and it feels like -26 degrees, Mike.
That's very cold. That's very cold. We were comparing earlier, and here it feels like 60. So we are a full 85 degrees apart.
That is unreal. But my brain...
I can't even conceive of what -25 would feel like.
It hurts. My wife asked me to run out and get something, and I looked at her like she was sentencing me to death. It's like, are you serious?
How many layers do you have to put on? Like, what do you wear for that kind of weather?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you own, because I've seen they have heated jackets and stuff like that have electronics built into them. Is that the move?
Well, see, what you do is you kill your Tauntaun, and you slide inside his intestines. Tauntaun. And it keeps you as warm as,
The Force really should have been able to keep you alive.
What a weird scene. What a weird thing. But that's how it feels here in Hoth. So anyway, so my brain's a little foggy if this feels scattered, but we're here. I've got the coffee and I'm ready to talk some Star Wars Unlimited.
Awesome.
Let's do this. So what happened this week, Mike, in the world of the SWU?
What happened? It's a great question. We got some spoilers that we'll talk about on our spoiler video in the future. There was also a retailer call, and a bunch of sort of slides from that came to light. A lot of exciting stuff in there, but I don't know how relevant it is to talk about. And I don't know. I'm probably missing something. What else happened?
No, I think that's about it. I think we're just... I did see... one of my local stores scheduled their pre-release for March 1st, which was like, oh, we've got a date and a time.
I heard about another shop nearby. By nearby, it's like 45 minutes away, but I'll still go. That's confirmed to do a pre-release. So there's at least 2 stores that I know of near me that are confirmed, but hopefully they're not the same day, same time. Yeah, because I would like to go at least like Saturday and Sunday that weekend.
Yeah, I want Friday night, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, if Friday night's a possibility, that's definitely what I want to do too. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Ooh, if they do like a midnight pre-release.
Wait. Is it March 1st or Friday?
Is it?
I'm checking the calendar.
I don't know dates.
I thought March 1st was
it's very
March 1st is a Friday.
Okay. Yeah. So Thursday night, that's what I'm looking for.
Thursday midnight.
Midnight. I'll nap before, even though I don't nap, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I love that. But yeah, it does feel like after the retailer call that Asmodee did, or FFG did, I guess, we saw a lot of random posts like that gave me the confidence I needed to move forward with product or whatever. I got to see little things popping up, and then stores posting publicly like what they're doing with the game, and that was pretty cool. I think that was a big confidence boost and a great idea from FFG.
Yeah, I don't have any insight in terms of what they've done for other games, but I'd be curious to see sort of if they've done that before for other games and what I don't know, like, is this just one more thing added to the list of what they're doing to show that they're a different company than they were 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah. I
still see those posts every once in a while, but it does seem like those posts are slowly dissipating as we get closer, as people have been like, oh, this is, but literally, I think the last kind of domino is, will we have product, or will, will allocation destroy everything? And
it seemed like they're pretty confident that they'll have enough stuff, but I don't know. We'll see, at least from what was reported from those conversations.
Yeah. The hard part of that whole conversation is if they do their jobs correctly, maybe that's the wrong word, but like the game would be so popular that you
right, I know. Yeah.
That you do sell out and you can't find product.
It's so tough because
but it's such a feels bad for people too.
Yeah,
So
for any kind of product, right? Like the optimal number of things to print is exactly as many as people want, but that's impossible to hit. And then you get into the calculus of, is it better to underprint or overprint, and why? And there's different people that think different things. I mean, look at Lorcana right now. Like 6 months ago, well, not even 6 months ago, 2 months ago, we were hearing people say that the game was dead because nobody could buy product. Now we're hearing that the game is dead because there's too much product. So you can never please everybody, which is like the first answer there. Yeah. And I think as long as there's enough product for people to draft, I think that's the key, because they're making such a big deal of draft being a, like, not only supported format, but a format that they're actively pushing. Yeah. As we saw in the live stream that happened last week. And it looks super fun. We talked about this already, but I mean, it looks like an amazing format. I want to draft every night. Yes. I'm not going to, but I want to. Yeah. Yeah. And not just to draft, but I would say draft as closely to MSRP as possible. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because there's a lot of stores around Chicago who were hosting Lorcana drafts. But the problem was you had to sell your kidney in order to participate. So, were they like $30 booster packs in your I mean, it was like, I was like, 6 packs or something in that game, right? Like, don't you draft like more packs or no? I don't remember. I don't remember either. That game was not meant to be drafted, and it's very clear that it wasn't meant to be drafted. So I was talking to my friend Frank today, and he was like, I'm excited to draft, but like, at what cost? What is it? What ultimately, what am I going to have to pay? Because he's used to hearing Lorcana draft prices and stuff like that. So, but theoretically, a SWU draft would be $15 at MSRP. Three Sounds packs, amazing. Which is, gosh, I mean, music to my ears. When I used to draft Magic when I was in college, it was $15, and packs I think were 3 or 4. So there was a bit of a retailer markup, which I get. Like I mean, in today's world, $15 is worth a lot less than it was. I don't know, 10 years ago, because I'm old. So no, it's true. Yeah, and there will probably be $20, I mean, the packs itself, right? Sure. Like the packs itself. Like if you got just a box with some friends to say, hey, let's draft this thing. Absolutely. I mean, it'll be potentially under that, because I've seen already like pre-orders for less than MSRP. So if you draft with friends, crazy stuff. Could be less than $15. Hey, all right. So speaking of friends, one of the topics. What a segue! Friends are friends forever. We want to talk about, now that it's like you can like almost feel. Well, I can't feel anything because I'm so cold. But you can feel the pre-release coming. You can feel the excitement. But there's this age-old question of how do you build a local community around a game? We've talked about it on Unplayable in different settings, but it feels like every time a game's about to release, it's important to revisit and talk about some things. I think some people make assumptions about how communities are built that are not true. And I hope that in this conversation we can talk about like some of those things of like, how does this actually happen? Because sometimes it happens organically, but I would say most of the time it doesn't just happen. People don't just happen to show up at the same game store, loving the same game, just saying, hey, do you like this game? Do you want to play games? Like there is a little bit of work that goes into it. So I want to address the question of how much is that up to the local stores? And then how much of that is up to you as the player? And there are strong opinions on all sides of this conversation, but this is the Conversation Lab. So I felt like, I don't know. So to kick things off, Mike, just give me your reaction to that question. How much of community building is up to the store, and how much of it is up to the local player base? It's a great question. I feel like you're much better at that kind of thing than I am in general. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. I think intuitively, it probably depends a lot on what your community looks like, what your local store looks like already, because I've been to local stores that are very proactive in terms of building communities around specific games. And on the other side, I've been to game stores where they don't care at all. And they want you to, it's like, if you show up, great. If you don't, cool, we'll fire another Magic draft or whatever. So I think it really depends on that. But ultimately, to give your community the best shot of existing and growing and succeeding and having a lot of cool people to play with, I think it, in some regard, has to be down to you as the player or you as the collective community that you're trying to build and cultivate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to hear what you think about this.
Yeah. I personally, and I live in, a large area. Like I'm in Chicago suburbs. There are a lot of stores. There's a lot of people. I used to live in a much smaller city and with a good amount of stores, not as many people, but we had a thriving community. So a couple things I would say the players themselves have more responsibility in building a local community than the stores. Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, the store, their responsibility is to keep the lights on, to pay their staff, maybe make a little bit of profit along the way, to save some for a rainy day. But ultimately, if that doesn't happen, like they close their doors and there are no more games. Now, you could make the argument that building a local community and having a healthy culture of people gathering will ultimately boost your profits because people want to hang out and buy more stuff from you. So it's sort of like chicken or the egg. But I think in general, we as the player base hold more responsibility for building a local community if your goal is to have local players to play with on a regular basis. And that could mean kitchen table for you, or that could mean, as competitive as the game gets. But I think the responsibility does fall on our shoulders. And a lot of people think it's just the store. It's like the store's job to make sure that there is good community happening. And I'm not saying the store doesn't have responsibility. They do have skin in the game, like I said. But I think for us to assume all they're doing is thinking about Star Wars Unlimited and building that community right now is foolish.
For sure. Yep.
Every game thinks that's their job, right?
Yeah. There's dozens of games out there that they could be supporting and or already are. It's tough to get a store to commit that hard to a brand new game that it's risky for them because they buy a bunch of product to support that game. Nobody buys it. It sits on the shelf for a while. It means that they're putting that out instead of other stuff. The worst thing you could do as a retailer is sit on product that you're not moving. So yep. I understand that from the retailer side. So yep. I agree with you. So what do you think are then the best ways to do that as a community member?
First thing I tell people to do is call or message or email or whatever you can. The stores that you want to play Star Wars Unlimited at, like you should be contacting them every once in a while, checking in about pre-orders or pre-release tournaments or whatever. And even if you got a no from a store at one point, it's still worth another call because ultimately they're going to go by what they feel like is the demand. And if multiple people are contacting a store asking about something, they won't ignore that because again, they have to sell product.
So you're telling me that what I should do is go on the internet and find a voice changer app, call the store a dozen times as different voices asking, hey, are you guys carrying Star Wars Unlimited?
Yes. And do it all in the same hour. This is one after the other.
Okay, don't do that. But if you have friends that are interested in the game, encourage them to do the same.
Yes. Yeah, because the store just needs to know. Otherwise, like, how are they going to know? If you're expecting FFG to let them know that they think people in their area are interested in this game, that's just short-sighted. So I think, number one, just letting the stores know, like, no, I'm interested. And when I do that, a lot of times I'll tell them, like, hey, I actually taught this game to 3 players this week, and we're all very interested in playing at your store and buying product from your store, which leads me to my next point of if you really care about this game, be willing to teach the game to others. Now, obviously, right now we don't have product. I have done the crazy thing of printing off of 6 decks and cutting them up and putting them in sleeves with a card just because I want to be able to teach people not on TTS and I always say, like, hey, listen, this game's about to come out. I just want you to learn it, whatever. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going around to anybody who tells me they're remotely interested in Star Wars or remotely interested in games. I'm like, hey, can I teach you a game that's about to come out that I think is phenomenal? And I teach them. And I even went so far as to ask the store, local store, to say, hey, can I host a meetup at the store with my proxy decks to teach some guys the game? And the store was more than willing for us to do that. and to come in. And it was great because then I ended up in conversation with store employees about the game, and they got to learn the game, and they started to get interested in what's going on.
You're kind of hosting your own road show. It's the Dhaus road show.
Yes. Except my cards don't look as cool as others. Yeah. So I just try to teach literally every conversation. If I even sense that this person is interested in Star Wars, I'm like, hey, can I teach you a game? Or, and again, people, I get teased in Discord all the time about how many coworkers I've taught how to play games. But like I've had 3 different jobs over the last, 12 years. And in every one of those jobs I did the same. I just walked in and I found the people. I was like, listen,
you're like, I know you're going to like this.
You're going to like this. Let's, for lunch break, whatever. And I just try to do that intentionally. And it's worked. I mean, honestly, it awesome. Just has worked with Destiny, with Keyforge, with X-Wing, all the different games. But I've done that. And so then I can go to the store and say, hey, I'm teaching this game. Can I host demos? Now, my store has said, hey, you seem to really like putting community together. Would you be our SWU champion and help us get this thing off? And for me, I'm like, yeah, yes, 100%. Now, I know not every store is going to do that. Mine is unique, but I do think every store will look at, if you're willing to volunteer your time, this is what I tell people. A store that is used to paying their staff and paying people to do this, paying distributors to do whatever, if you're willing to go and say, hey, I don't need you to pay me, I just want to help organize this thing, and so that people come into your store and buy things. Like a store owner would be crazy to say, no, you can't volunteer to do this thing.
For sure.
Right? So the question is, Mike, how do you get the word out about that stuff?
It's a great question. How do you do it?
A couple ways.
Okay, hang on. But before we get there, no. Okay, after we talk about this part, I have another point to bring up, or question, I suppose.
Go. So here's the thing: we live in a digitally connected world, but we're playing a game that asks people to gather in physical spaces. There are many who play these games who'd rather not be on Discord and Facebook and some of these digital spaces. I know you hate Facebook. I hate Facebook, but it is a means to an end. And for me, I'm like, okay, listen, if we're going to gather people from all over, like miles away, that don't have anything in common except for this one game, we've got to have ways to digitally find each other online. And that has to be community driven. So the first thing I did months ago is I created a Chicagoland Star Wars Unlimited Facebook page and just posted it in the big global Facebook channel. Say, hey, come join. Because I figured if we have a place where we can come on and say, hey, this event's happening here, or let's meet up here, that's a great place to do it. Another local who has the similar mindset as me, he started the Chicagoland Star Wars Unlimited Discord channel, which has been awesome. So he's running the Discord, I'm running the Facebook, and it's just like a landing spot for people to come, and we can chat about stores, we can chat about meetups. And so when you're meeting people, you can be like, hey, are you in this thing? Let's have a way to connect. I've also used GroupMe as an option. It's a great way for, doesn't matter if you have iPhone, Android, or whatever. It's just an app that's like group messaging. You can run polls, you can schedule events, you can do all these things. And you don't even need the app. You can also just join as a text message, which is another cool way that you can use GroupMe. And we use that for Keyforge all the time, which was super helpful. But you're just finding a landing place so that if you run into someone in the store who likes the game, like you should be prepared to say, hey, you should get in this thing, whether it's Discord or Facebook, GroupMe or whatever, so that the communication can stay really strong.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I can confirm when I was originally playing Star Wars Destiny, or when that game first launched, or right before it first launched, I didn't have a Facebook page at all. And the only reason I created one was to find the local groups so that I could figure out where to play. So I never used that platform other than to interact with gaming communities like that. So is important.
I mean, you and I met. You and I met because of I don't know, probably Facebook at the time. Like, kind of like, and talking about the game and whatever. So it's just a reality. So what I would do if I were someone listening to this, I would start searching right now. Is there a Facebook group for this thing in my area, and is there a Discord channel for our area? And if not, then be the one to start it and start inviting people into it. I think it's a really simple way to build some camaraderie and some excitement. And you can pin a post, and you can have different channels of Discord of saying these are when the pre-releases are happening, and get all the information. The people who really follow this will, can really help those who don't follow it as crazy as we do. To make sure that people know what's happening.
Yeah, I definitely find it super helpful when there is a summary post of here's all the different local stores and what night of the week they're hosting, the events for this game, and here are all the important events and tournaments and whatever. Here's like what you need to know at a very basic level at the top. So I think having something like that's really important. So the question I was going to ask before is basically, can you think of smaller ways, or just like imagine a person who says either I don't have enough time to do that, or maybe they're not as extroverted, outgoing. Maybe they don't feel comfortable teaching people that they don't know, or calling a store, cold calling basically. Do you have any advice for someone like that?
Yeah, I would say everybody has different gifts, right? Like everybody has something to offer the community. So for me, obviously, I'm yelling into a microphone right now on a YouTube channel. I don't have any problem being in front of people, and I actually love to teach. I actually think like that's like the thing I get most joy from, is teaching other people something and watching them find joy in the thing that I'm teaching them. So I actually really enjoy that. But some of the other things like, oh gosh, like organizing Excel sheets, logistics, all that stuff, I can do it. It's not my favorite thing. Like it's like managing a pin post on Facebook with all the different times and dates for events is really hard for me, because I get excited and then I'm like, oh, I need to do that thing. Like, oh wait, where did I see that? And I have to sit there. And so for me, I'm like, I would love if someone in the community said, hey, you know what? I'm actually really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I'll maintain that group. Or that post.
Yeah, let me make sure that everything's on there, while you do the other things. Because I mean, at some point on my locals, like I would love to bring a camera, and it's because some of the locals have asked me like, oh, are we gonna like stream or record? I'm like, hey, I mean, I'm open to it. And so it's like those are the things I know I can offer value if other people are willing to shoulder the other stuff. So basically, just figure out what ways you can add value to your community and sort of volunteer your time in that way to the extent that you can. Yeah, like those are good examples. So maybe the answer is like, find the person in your community that is sort of doing what David here is doing, and see how you can offer help to that person, basically. Yeah. Or fake it till you make it. If you have to start it, you might just have to fake it for a little bit until you get some other people involved, which is reality. But also the other thing too is really just showing up to events consistently. Your presence at events is going to speak volumes as you just become more recognizable in that community. So I think that's a big one too. When pre-releases start going, if you figure out a way to make sure you hit all the pre-releases and everybody sees you at these events, like that's gonna, assuming there's multiple. I want to acknowledge the fact that like there are some people, it's like their closest game store is forever away, and they're not going to have a local community. They might be listening to this like, but what do I do? And I don't have answers for you. I can't figure that piece out necessarily. But I mean, I'm in Chicago area now, which has obviously millions, but I lived in a town of 200,000, and we had one of the biggest Destiny communities, I think, in the country. So I don't think it's necessarily how big your city is. I think it's how much you're willing to invest and invite other guys into it. So
or girls.
Yeah.
Hopefully more girls.
Yeah. I meant guys, you know what I mean? It's gender neutral guys.
The colloquial guys.
Yes.
I get it. All right. So to recap, we've got call your local store, have your friends call your local store, create and or find a digital meeting place where you can coordinate with people
and volunteer to help,
volunteer to help your store, and show up.
Yeah.
Show up to events. Yeah. Participate.
Yeah. So. But I would go so far as to say, like, if your roadshow's coming up, you need to have these digital spaces like created so that you can go in there, like, make a little business card that you can pass out, be like, hey, hop into the Discord or Facebook, or for pre-releases especially, like once it's like, hey, get in these things. Like if you can hand something to some people, even better, because that's how people are going to find it and gather.
Yep. That's a great idea.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready to build your local community, Mike? Is that sufficient?
I'm so ready.
Oh, cool. Well, if you have other ideas that we missed, I mean, throw it in the comments, or join our Discord, join our Unplayable Discord, our digital online community.
Yeah, there you go.
And have those conversations there as well, because I'm sure there will be plenty of ideas. All right, what are we doing next, Mike?
What are we doing next? Are we building a deck right now? Is that
Let's
next up on the list? All right. So
last
week we talked about our approach to deck building, or one of the approaches that you can take to deck building. So we're going to put that into practice right now, and we're going to build the deck. We thought it'd be fun to find some kind of not often seen pairing between leader and color, and just figure it out. So
yeah, So if you're listening on audio, this might be a little hard to follow at times.
Yeah, we're going to try to do our best.
Yeah, and we'll link it in at the end in the show notes too. But you can also open this up on YouTube and follow. Now, originally we had talked about doing Han Solo. Did you want to do Han Solo, or did you want to swerve or just pick something random?
Let's just pick something random. I feel like, I don't know, I've seen people play each version of Han fairly frequently, so I don't know if that's ground that is, fresh.
Okay.
So I'm down to try something different.
There you go. Go to Golden Dice's YouTube channel and find their Han video, and you can see the way that Jack builds. Yes, he's got Luke and Han and Boba now. So, all right. Well,
so I want to first point out that this random deck that I've created is called the Gamboge Duny Sparrowhawk.
That's the only other time I've seen that word.
So that's pretty great.
Gamboge. That's so good. By the way, this is on swoodb.com. So if you're building decks, I literally even got a text today from someone asking, where do I build a deck? And I said, that's a great question. Go to swoodb.com.
Yeah, swoodb is a pretty great place to do that. Shout out to the Force Unlimited podcast and Parker and Ned, because that show is awesome.
Yep. It's got lots of math for all you nerds out there.
I enjoyed the math, even though I'm not very good at math myself.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you want to?
Yeah. How do we want to approach this? I guess. Do we want to pick a leader? Go based off that. We want to pick a card in the deck and figure out what leader works best with that card. This kind of is where we started last time, which is like, how do you even start to build a deck? What's the purpose of this deck? Yeah.
So right off the back, this is in my mind when I'm like approaching a new deck. I'm thinking, okay, what is nobody doing? What is absolutely nobody playing? So like just cross Sabine off the list. I don't even want to look at her. Get her out of here.
I was thinking Sabine Blue would be kind of interesting, because I don't think I've literally ever seen that played, but it's all good.
Okay, yeah. But no.
It would probably just be every other Sabine deck with like 4 different cards.
Yeah, there might be, so I want to try something that, I think you're right. I have not seen a lot of Jyn Erso decks. I haven't seen a lot of Cassian decks.
I've actually literally never made a Jyn Erso deck. So you want to start there?
Okay.
Is Jyn interesting enough to create a whole deck around?
Yeah.
I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah. We're going to build this. And then, when it wins the first Galactic Championship in 2025.
When Gamboge Duny Sparrowhawk wins the World Championships.
The legend of the Sparrowhawk begins today. We're in a very strange
alternate universe.
So Jyn's ability is action, exhaust, attack with a unit. The defender gets -1, -0 for this attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking, okay, we want to. There's a little bit of control there. It's a little bit, especially board control, where you're getting better valuable trades. So I imagine we're going to do a little bit of fighting, hitting units, not just going to the base.
For sure, units with like on attack abilities probably can be pretty good with this, because you're wanting to attack. Importantly, her unit side doesn't require you to exhaust her, and it allows any friendly unit who's attacking to get the benefit. So it kind of makes me want to try Energy Conversation Lab, because you can play a 6 cost or less card from your hand and give it ambush. Yeah. So while she's on her unit side, which just so happens to be at 6 resources, you potentially get that benefit when you use the ambush.
Yeah.
Which kind of
that's fun. So when I'm thinking about attacking, if I want to attack into units a lot, where my brain goes is, can we play a bunch of overwhelm somehow so that we're not just attacking
what color
units?
Has a lot of overwhelm? It's green.
What is that? Okay.
So I don't know. Okay, let's. There are a couple of new ones that were revealed in the draft.
Well, it's the Conversation Lab. So let's go to the Conversation Lab itself.
We're gonna try it. We can always switch bases. So this is another important thing, which is you can just we can scrap it, start over. This part of deck building. So for those who don't know, and for those who are listening on audio, Energy Conversion Lab is a green base with 25 health and an epic action that says play a unit that costs 6 or less from your hand and give it ambush for this phase. So
I like it.
We're gonna go from
Love
there.
It. All right. So first thing I do when I don't know about you, Mike, but I go up to the top right where it says name and I switch that to cost.
Yep, I do that every time as well.
Yeah, because I don't care about alphabetical. I just want to know. I want to build on my curve. Yeah.
And okay, so because I don't know if this is how you would go about doing this, but because the whole reason why I wanted to go with Energy Conversion Lab was to be able to ambush something and pair it with Jyn, I kind of want to start at the 6s and figure out what like the best units are to use there.
Okay.
So we've got Mercenary Company, which actually already has ambush and overwhelm.
Okay.
We've got Rogue Squadron Skirmisher, which also has ambush. So we're left with just Lando, which is not great.
Not the best. No, it is not.
Not ideal.
Even just going up a little bit, Syndicate Lackeys also ambush.
I do like this.
Steadfast Battalion. Okay, yeah.
Because if you have your leader out, you can give a friendly. So Steadfast Battalion. Cost 5. It's a 5/5 trooper with overwhelm. On attack, if you control a leader unit, give a friendly unit +2/+2 this phase. It can give it to itself, which is kind of cool.
My brain just sort of like stuttered out when you said it could give it to himself, and I'm like, you're right.
So you could be attacking for 7 with overwhelm and giving whatever you're attacking -1 attack.
That seems pretty good. That might be our target for the conversation.
So I do like that.
Okay.
I mean, you already got Callus with ambush. There's a lot of things with ambush. And I think like while she is in her unit side, she really likes being paired with ambush stuff. While you're on the leader side, it's a lot less good because you have to use the action in order to make it work. But maybe at that point in the game, you're hoping that she's, out there already and you can get value out of it with just the cards that have ambush on their own. So I do like the idea of that Steadfast Battalion. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. I think that's a 3. Yep.
So let's start there, and then we can go back to the top. And find the cheap stuff. So it is a green hero deck. So Battlefield Marine is always my first 3 of in a green hero deck, which is a 2-cost 3/3 Rebel Trooper. That's it.
Yeah, totally agree. Can you highlight the new Chopper? Chopper's so new. Sure I need a refresher on his ability here. So on attack, discard a card from the defending player's deck if it's an event, exhaust a resource that player controls, and it gets raid 1 with other specters.
Other specters, yeah. Which this color combination doesn't have as many as other color combinations.
You got Ezra.
Yeah, it's just Ezra. There's no green. No green specter other than Hera, I think. So probably not Chopper.
Yeah, probably not Chopper.
What else is good?
I do love Greedo as a threat early, but
let's find out how many I guess non-unit cards will include before we put Greedo in there, I guess. Okay. I do like Greedo, but if we're wanting to attack a lot, we probably want a lot of units more so.
True, because Greedo, even if you get the -1 off of Jyn, Greedo's probably dying still.
Yeah. So like early game, like turn 2, I feel like you're mostly attacking into like 2/3 or like, if you're in space, a 1/3.
Yeah.
So having a 3/3 that you can trade into another 3/3 and not die is pretty sweet. The thinking is that if you were attacking into 2/3s in ground for the most part, even a 3/2 is pretty good because you can attack with that 3/2 and only take 1 damage back. So I kind of like Lethal Insurgent.
Yeah.
Even as a 2-cost 3/2.
Yeah.
The one play is fine, but I think it's mostly just for the stats here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any other 2-cost card that is similar?
That's a 3/2. I don't
think so. Not in these colors.
No.
Okay. No. All right. So we've got 2-cost cards.
So the other question is, because Jyn is a rebel, this is where my brain goes, is do we go for the rebel package?
The rebel package is just good. So
yeah. Which when I say rebel package, we're talking wing leaders, fleet lieutenants, stuff that play, maybe the Donna, stuff that plays off the rebel
trait. Yeah. Well, let's add those in real quick first. So we're jumping around a little bit, but this is sometimes how deck building goes.
That's right.
Where Fleet Lieutenant is a 3-cost 3/3. When played, you can attack with a unit. If it's a rebel, it gets +2/+0 for this attack. And Wing Leader is a 3-cost 2/1 space unit, rebel vehicle fighter. And when played, give 2 experience tokens to another friendly rebel unit. So we like giving experience to rebel units, especially when they become 5/5s when you give them 2 experience. So Battlefield Marine, Wing Leader, best friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solid.
So we need a couple more 2-cost cards in this deck.
I think Leia's an auto include in my mind.
Leia's just too good.
She's so versatile. She's exhaust when you need it. She's a unit when you need it. Mm-hmm. She could even ready a resource, so she could be a 1-cost 2/2 if you don't have anything to exhaust. It's just
I don't love playing her on turn 1. Like if you have to, it's fine, but I don't really like doing it.
Agreed.
Okay, what do you think about Frontline Shuttle, which is a 2-cost 1/3 with the action defeat this unit, attack with the unit even if it's exhausted. It can't attack bases for this attack.
Okay.
So while Jyn's out, it's pretty
with
cool.
Jyn's out, that definitely there's like, oh, I'm safe, and it's like actually
it's kind of spicy. I don't know if it's good, but I'm willing to throw it in there just for fun. We are, in theory, going to have a lot of Overwhelm units, and that works pretty well with Overwhelm.
That does. I like it. That's spicy. I
like a little spice. All right. And last, we probably want like one more 2-cost. I'm tempted. I mean, okay, I don't actually like Alliance X-Wing very much.
Wait, do we need another 2-cost? We've got 12 now.
I'm not really counting Leia as a 2-cost because I really don't want to play her on turn 1.
Sure.
And I feel like we need some more space presence against all those.
So are we going to play Wedge?
A-wings that are out there potentially? That's it's coming together. We might play Wedge. I think we probably would play Wedge. Wedge turns the Frontline Shuttle into a 2/4. That's pretty cool.
Yes, that's why I was thinking. I was like, now this could get.
Let's tentatively add Wedge in here. So Wedge.
Okay. I haven't played Wedge since he got released. I'm excited.
I've been playing a little bit of Wedge.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan, but he's okay. So Wedge is a 5/5 for 5. He's a rebel, of course, and each friendly vehicle unit gets +1/+1 and ambush. So we're going to throw that in there.
Ambush.
We like ambush. We like giving things better stats, and so that is all good. So we got 18 ground units, 9 space units right now. We have 1 card that costs 3, which is Fleet Lieutenant and Wing Leader, so 2 cards that cost 3. I feel like we want 1 more unit that costs 3 at least. So we have a couple good options here. We got Admiral Akbar, which is 3-cost 1/4 Rebel official with Restore 1, and when played, you can deal damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control in its arena. I kind of like this because what if you play a 2/3 on your first turn? Like what if you play Alliance X-Wing on your first turn? You use Jyn's ability to run it into your opponent's A-Wing. It's not dead yet, but you can use Akbar to deal that last bit of damage.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
So I like Akbar in general. I think he's pretty cool. I like him better when you have like a lightsaber in your deck that you can put on him because he's got kind of that beefy 4 health.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have that in this deck because we're not playing blue. Yeah. But I don't know.
So yeah, I like Akbar. He doesn't really fit in the I want to attack vibe. It's like you really don't want to attack units with Akbar most of the time. I mean, I always love the damage out of hand because I always feel like that's a nice little surprise. I'm mostly looking at what he's competing with in the 3 slot. The Echo-based Defender, Ezra Bridger.
Echo-based Defender is great. Because,
I think that's a 3 as a Rebel.
That's an easy one. I think Jyn in general, right? We've already said that she wants at least a 3/2 on the first turn, right? Because then you can trade into something and not die that has 2 attack. Mm-hmm. This can trade into something that has 3 attack and not die.
Yeah.
And that's pretty great.
Yeah.
For something that has 4 attack itself. So I think that's easy.
Okay.
I guess the next question is, I mean, Millennium Falcon goes in every single yellow hero deck that I build. So
yeah, I was going to say, I knew that was coming. I figured that was a given.
It's just one of the best ships in the game.
Now it does not synergize with the Rebel.
It does not.
Cause.
It does not.
So we have to keep that in mind. It's not a good target, but it does just come in ready, good. And it
comes in ready, and you can use Jyn's ability on it immediately.
Also true. That they might not be anticipating because
it's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's so good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the 3 costs we've got in this deck. We've got 4 now.
Okay.
Maybe we could think. Okay, well, hang on.
What's our 4th?
I don't think we actually read Millennium Falcon. But Millennium Falcon is a 3-cost 3/4, enters play ready. But then when you ready cards during the regroup phase, either pay 1 or return it to your hand. The 4th was, Fleet Lieutenant, Wing Leader, Millennium Falcon, Echo-based Defender.
Okay.
So I want to stick with the units for now, and then we can go to events and upgrades later. If that makes sense to you.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's move past the 3 costs into the 4 costs. There aren't that many options. We've got Ozatuk Liberator Gunship, which is a 4 cost 3/4 with Ambush. We've got Bright Hope.
Ambush.
Yeah, Ambush is great. I think that's a good card that a lot of people aren't playing. We got Bright Hope, which is a 4 cost 2/6. It's a rebel. It's a vehicle transport with Sentinel. And when played, you can return a friendly non-leader ground unit to your hand. And if you do, you draw a card. Also, I like drawing cards and having Sentinel in space. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of it. We have Dodonna is the only other one with, all friendly rebel units get +1/+1.
Yep.
Who I don't really love.
He's been losing points in my book recently. He's not as Veers is just so much better at 3.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that takes him out. It feels like you don't really want to spend 4 resources on it, but there are literally no other options in ground at 4 cost. So are we cool with that?
I think at least the way that I build decks, I'll start with more than I think I need, and then I'll start cutting.
Cut back. All right, so let's pretend that we want maybe Dodonna in there. We're going to put 1 in there as like a maybe.
That's
then we can go through,
that's fine.
Decide what we want, what we don't want.
And I'm more torn about the ships because Bright Hope can, in my mind, like sometimes Bright Hope is exactly what you need to slow down the space attack from the A-Wings and the whatever. But
I kind of like Ozatuk better, though, for that purpose, right? Because you can take out the A-Wing immediately. And then next turn also take out another one. I guess Bright Hope just prevents them from attacking at all in a lot of cases. But they can also, like, I don't know, if your opponent has 2 A-Wings, they could just hit Bright Hope twice. Bright Hope's dead. Their A-Wings are still alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bright Hope is good for anti-Falcon stuff, late game.
True.
But Ozatuk is definitely, attacking for 3. It hits the arcs. It hits the X-Wings. It hits the A-Wings.
It isn't a rebel, though.
You're right. It's not.
It's not a rebel. Not. And we already have Wedge in the deck, so Bright Hope could be a 3/7.
With Ambush.
With Ambush, yeah.
Yeah, if Wedge is out. It's a lot of ifs.
Yep, a lot of conditions there.
Oh, so this is tough. Here, I don't know.
I'm going to put 2 of each in there, and we'll figure out later what fits the deck best.
That's good. This is good deck building now.
All right, so let's move on to 5 cost cards. We've got a lot of options here. We already have Wedge. We already have Steadfast Battalion. I'm kind of tempted to say, like, do we really need that many more?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do we? So this is where, sideboarding becomes an interesting conversation.
Sure.
In my experience, when I'm playing against aggro, whether that's Leia or Sabine, like having Sentinel that can hit the board often is good. So I would consider Chewbacca. Just for like, okay, you got to hit me, then I'm gonna ready, and then you probably kill one of your units because it's got 3 attack. But I don't know if he's a main deck. Right. It's just maybe a sideboard.
Here,
I always
do
look
one copy of Chewbacca just in case. I do also like Callus. He's got good stats.
And he's got Ambush,
with
which
Ambush.
I
guess okay stats, but if you draw a card off him, you're feeling really good.
Yep. Now, not a rebel. Neither is Chewie.
Yep. Sadly.
So.
All right, so I'm going to put those at 1 just as like a maybe we'll play this, maybe not.
Sounds good.
Okay, then we've got the more expensive stuff. So we got Mercenary Company, which is Ambush and Overwhelm. So this pairs pretty well with Jyn, just like out the gate. You flip Jyn when you have 6 resources. You play this, you take 1 fewer damage back, and you're dealing Overwhelm. Has Ambush baked in.
Interesting. Yeah, the timing of her flip is yeah.
Is it the best card ever? Probably not. But does it maybe potentially work with this deck? I don't know. I think it fits what the deck wants to do. I wish it was a 6/6, but it'd probably be too good as a 6/6.
I think we play it because even if you don't end up ambushing, I think having Overwhelm in this deck will be, again, the stated goal of
attacking units, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's pretend that we want that. And then I think we pretend also that we want Rogue Squadron Skirmisher because we're playing Wedge and you can ambush stuff as a 5/7.
Well, it has ambush already, but yeah, that's...
Well, sure. Yeah. It just gets the stat boost, really. Okay, and then the real question. 97th Legion is not a card that exists in real life. Han Solo for 7. I feel like Han and Home 1 feel a little expensive for this deck. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't... Are we really playing for the Home 1 here? That seems I think home one is not in my thought, even with wedge in there, even to be able to ambush.
We do have quite a few cards that are really good to bring back with it.
Like playing home one into a Falcon
Echo-based
feels
defender,
really good.
You got Wing Leader, you got Fleet Lieutenant. Like I think if we're running one of these, it's home one. But are we going to be able to get to 8 resources with this deck, or do we want to resource that heavy?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of ambush. It feels like already.
I'm going to throw 2 of them in there for now, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. So
yeah,
I think we're good on adding units to this deck, at least for now. There is another consideration. We got Syndicate Lackeys. I didn't even think about this, which is a 5/4 ambush for 5.
Yeah.
I think I like the 5/5. It's like a 5/5 ambush overwhelm for 6, or a 5/4 ambush for 5. I think we should leave it off.
I agree.
But maybe it's good. Okay, so we've got 48 total cards in here, and we haven't added events yet. So let's
no events in this deck.
Yeah, none. Let's hit the events, and then we'll cut some stuff.
Yeah. So again, we're attacking a lot. So going into this, I'm thinking, okay, like what are the things that allow us to get more value if we're attacking something with overwhelm?
Mm-hmm.
So like Surprise Strike with an overwhelm unit card seems pretty great. Like if they have a Sentinel, it's like I drop this.
How many overwhelm units do we actually have?
Do we not? Yeah, I guess that's
I think we have 2. Mercenary Company and Steadfast Battalion.
Okay.
I mean, I think Surprise Strike is just a good card. Almost.
Yeah. Yep. Also true.
So there's that. I like Strike True.
Strike True is a 3 of in my mind.
Yeah, we
need some removal that isn't just.
We got Echo-based Defender at 3, which has 4 attacks, so you can sort of get decent value out of it as early as then. And then there's a lot of stuff that has 5 attack, so kind of works out there. Jyn only has 4, which is kind of sad, but that's okay. All right, and then Waylay, probably not.
I feel like we're trying to fight, right?
Yeah, we are trying to fight.
I mean, Waylay's still good, even it's making them go back in resources. So,
do we want shoot first in this deck? I like the card.
I know it always feels
like
good.
What we're already doing with Jyn's ability.
Is it? That's my question. Is it redundant? Is it doing this? The same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm never upset to see strike first in my hand.
Mm-hmm. How about Asteroid Sanctuary? You have one of our
that's what I was thinking about too.
Do we have? We do have a lot of good units that have 3 or less cost.
Yeah.
Giving an Echo-based Defender a shield sounds pretty fun.
That does. Yeah, that might have sold me right there.
All right. I'm down to try it.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think that's fine. I don't think we need to add any more events than that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm
okay with that.
And then upgrades. There aren't really any good upgrades in these colors, in my opinion. Maybe Traitorous. But
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think we want to be playing big units at that point in the game rather than stealing our opponent's stuff.
Yeah.
That to me is a sideboard card, not a main deck card, unless you're in like a meta where everybody's playing Yoda with a lightsaber or something like that, or Fifth Brother with a lightsaber. All right, so we've got 57 cards in this deck. We need to make some cuts.
Yeah,
we're keeping all these events, I think, and we've got 9 of them.
I think we cut Chewie. Maybe make him a sideboard.
Okay, I'm just gonna remove it.
Okay, we won't worry about sideboarding today.
Yeah. So in terms of our cheap units, I feel pretty good about what we've got here. I guess Frontline Shuttle is like, is it too cute to be a good card? But I'm not willing to remove it from the deck because I really want to try it. So this very well may not be a good card in this deck, but I think when you're deck building, you gotta do a little bit of science.
Yeah, that's so good.
So we only need to cut 6 cards. This is not that bad.
Yeah, 18 space units might be the most I've ever had in a deck.
It might be a lot.
That might be a little too heavy.
I mean, can you really count Frontline Shuttle as a space unit?
Yeah, maybe not.
I think Frontline Shuttle I see more as an event than a unit, honestly, unless you have Wedge out. But then now we're getting into the many conditions in order to make a card good. So, okay, let's decide Ozatec or Bright Hope.
Yeah, that's such an interesting puzzle in Jyn specifically.
Yeah,
I love being able to snipe an A-wing, or the Arcs too. Arcs can really get out of hand. They're not as flashy as A-wings, but
I'm kind of leaning towards the Ozatec.
All right, let's be wild.
I don't know why, but that's where my brain's at. That's where my heart is.
I would probably, again, I would probably sideboard in the Bright Hope, but
yep.
I'm still on the edge with Home One, but I don't know. It just feels like we everything's at 6, and then we have this weird 8 maybe cost. If we go a little bit higher, like it almost could be a trap, but it could also win a game. So
is tricky. It like
we're not running resupplies or anything?
No, we're not. Yeah, so there's no way to ramp to Home One. So I'm pretty comfortable cutting it.
It could. The one thing it could, it's like if you have Wedge, then it's like, okay, then you're hitting for 8 with Ambush, Restore 2, and getting a Falcon that could hit and restore. Like you're gonna heal a bunch, but
yeah, true.
There's a lot of pieces to that. Like I don't know.
So okay, well I think cutting it's okay. Like we're pretty heavy on units in like the 5-6 range, and it feels like we're trying to win the game off of our like big overwhelm units.
Yeah.
So
okay,
we'll see how well that works. We need to cut 3 cards only.
I think we cut Callus and put Dodonna at 2.
Cut Callus, put Dodonna at 2, and we still need to cut 3 cards.
I know, but I contributed.
But I don't mind that. I don't mind.
It's your turn.
Okay.
Your turn to make hard decisions.
Oh man, this is a tough decision. This is a very tough decision. Okay. Is Asteroid Sanctuary good enough to keep? I mean, I kind of want to cut Dodonna and then go down to 2 of something else. We don't have any 4 cost. No, we do. We have Azatuk, but not always going to want to play that. I guess Dodonna is just like, you need to remove this, otherwise all this.
Yeah, it's sort of like here's a target for you to have to worry about.
Yeah.
So that maybe you can clear a lane for Wedge the next turn.
Yeah.
It's like deal with Dodonna or I play Wedge. Like you better deal with one of them.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a reasonable person, I'm probably cutting Frontline Shuttle, but I'm not. So let's
we have made this bet and we will lie in it. No matter what the YouTube comments say.
That's right.
I'm with you on this for science. Yeah.
The next phase of deck building is play the deck and see what works and what doesn't.
Yes, and then we come back and say this is what actually works.
Exactly. So
I'm okay
I'm on the cut Asteroid Sanctuary train, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we do have
I like the rest of the cards here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Leia's Asteroid Sanctuary, but better, right? So
yeah, let's cut the Sanctuary. Like a bunch of maniacs. All right, we're done. Oh, and we're at 50.
We're at 50. All right. So for those listening, our deck at the end of all this is 3 Battlefield Marines, 3 Leia Organa, 3 Lothal Insurgent, 3 Echo-based Defender, 3 Fleet Lieutenants, 2 General Dodonna, 3 Steadfast Battalion, 3 Wedge, 3 Mercenary Company, 3 Rogue Squadron Skirmisher, 3 Alliance X-Wing, 3 Frontline Shuttle, 3 Millennium Falcon, 3 Wing Leader, 3 Azatek Liberator Gunship, 3 Surprise Strike, and 3 Strike Crew.
I think what's going to be interesting is how much value the Conversation Lab gives us.
For sure. Yep. I mean, it's always like, it's never a bad thing to just get a value trade early in the game with it. Using it with like Fleet Lieutenant or something like that. Using the 3/3 from Fleet Lieutenant to hit something that only has 3 health left. Using it with, I don't know, like Wedge.
Yeah, you could ambush in a Wedge and kill a sniper Sabine leader.
Yeah. We can also still do it with this Steadfast Battalion and get
which is the goal. I think that is like our ideal. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have anything that costs 1. So like if your turn 6 is playing a 5 cost card, it feels a little bad, but I mean, I don't know. Do you feel that sad about ambushing in a 7/7 with Overwhelm instead? I feel like that's okay.
I think it's all right.
Time will tell.
Well, there you go. Gamboge, Duny, Sparrowhawk. We're obviously going to have to publish this.
Yep. I'm publishing this right now. I'm not changing the name.
You got to put it in the description, at least link it to the podcast.
I'll do that at least.
There you go. And then, and we'll get this on it. We'll get this on the board and play. But I think that was a good like, hey, what's your goal? What are we playing toward? And, how do we, and then usually at this point, I would hit the little force table button and immediately just
try it in there.
See if it even beats an AI, and if it does okay, then it's like, okay, how do we play this against people and all that? So that was fun.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. Well, we'll report back, and maybe we'll do this again if people wanting us to keep going. To finish the podcast today, Mike, we got a couple questions in our Discord channel. So if you're not in the Unplayable Discord channel, be sure to hop in, click that link, and we'll chat with you on there. Let's do Admiral Stackbar, who sent me some pretty awesome creations, some 3D printed deck holders. I'm holding one right. I actually have one right here.
Nice.
That I'm messing with, and I haven't had a chance to really play with it, but stay tuned because it's great. He said, "What's your strategy for choosing when to stop resourcing? Is it based on the cost of the most expensive card in your deck, on what you currently have in hand, or something else?"
D, all the above, I would say.
Yes.
I think it's definitely context dependent in terms of what you have in your hand and what kind of plays you think you're going to make across the next, I don't know, maybe a couple turns. I'm really bad at thinking too far ahead in games like this. So I tend to kind of just look at what's in my hand and think okay, do I want to play these two cards together? If I do I need to resource? Do I have a card that costs 8 in my deck and I just played the card that costs 6? I don't have anything that costs 7, like we were just talking about. Maybe I need to resource in order to get to 8 to play the big thing. So that's a really hard question to definitively answer, but it's a very interesting question, and I think a very skill testing part of the game, because having cards in your hand is better than having them as resources if you're not using them. So I would say that if for some reason your deck is really good at drawing cards and you have quite a few options, a lot of times it doesn't feel like that much of a risk to keep resourcing to be able to play multiple cards on future turns. When your hand is low, that's where I start to get a little bit more stingy. Yeah. This is why I wanted to cut home one, because the deck building, because I'm like, oh man, sometimes just you're at 6 and you're like, okay, I need to resource for 2 more turns. I have to give 2 cards to maybe draw home one to maybe be able to pull this off. Yeah. But I do think it does take you getting to know your deck and figuring out what feels right. There are plenty of decks out there that say, for Sabine, this is I'm going to resource to 5 and then I stop and I play 2 cards a turn just to try to burn them down. So, All right. Next question is from R. Donnelly. What are your favorite turn 1 drops? That may be better as a tier list though, he said. But what's your favorite turn 1 drop? You just feel great when you drop this. You're like, I'm powerful. I think I'm going to cheat and give 2 answers. So in space, it's A-Wing. It's got to be A-Wing. So good. And in ground, it's the 3/3. It's the Battlefield Marine. They're simple. They got good stats, and that's kind of the end of it for me.
I can't even argue with those. Are my exact answers. So,
are there any villain cards that we can give shout out to here? Or do villains just not have very good two cost cards?
You know what? No, I really think sometimes the Inferno 4 can feel okay, because you're playing for the future a little bit. That's okay. Yeah.
Seasoned Shore Trooper is great, but the question is specifically turn 1 drops, and it's good turn 1, but it's great when you have 6 or more resources.
The Scout Pike Pursuer has been underperforming for me. But sometimes fun. Sometimes I want to do this specifically to play the Death Trooper the next round and have pretty powerful units when I'm playing in Krennic or something. But it's not always my favorite. The A-Wing and the Battlefield Marine always feel good. It doesn't matter what your next play is. That always feels good. Yeah. Sometimes my favorite turn 1 drop is the Regional Governor, so that I can say A-Wing to Mike when he's got 3 A-Wings in hand. Yeah. And which has happened. Yes.
My runners up are probably Sabine, who is also very good, and Crafty Smuggler, maybe. I like having a shield on turn 1.
That's good. Yep, that's good. All right. Last question from Inception. What's your favorite deck to play right now?
It's a tough question. I've been playing a lot of decks. I think my favorite to play right now is Leia Blue, which might be a weird answer, but I've been enjoying that deck quite a bit.
That's good. You know mine very well, Mike, but it's my mono green Tarkin deck.
That's also a good deck.
The Tarkin conversation. But I've been tinkering with a Krennic yellow deck.
Ooh.
With the new Jabba unit that
nice. That sounds spicy.
I haven't played it against you yet, but I've been tinkering and messing with it because I have theories about things and I want to test those theories. So it's not my favorite to play. It's been my favorite to kind of tinker with and move things around and see what happens. So
let's do it.
Okay. There's lots of other good questions, what cards could make IG-88 great from Serg, and it's none. No. It's just none.
I think I actually did think about this question before we started talking, because I don't know. I think first answer is something that protects your leader before they flip.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some other unit that says something like your leader can't take damage while this is out. I mean, that'd be ridiculous. It's a ridiculous card, right? But you need a ridiculous card in order to make IG-88 good or great, as the question really puts it. Maybe there's like a card that's like all your droids get like +3 health or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be cool. And then he flips and he's got all of a sudden 7 health instead of 4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would be interesting. There's a comic
card that doesn't let your opponent play events. That could be interesting.
Okay. That sounds
basically some way to protect IG-88 from just getting.
If you control a droid leader, your opponent cannot play.
There you go.
It's got to have something to do with droid, because I feel like how many droid leaders could we possibly have, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's terrible. All right, that was a long one, but I that was enjoyable. I hope, or at least it was enjoyable to me. I don't know about our listeners, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that too. We said it already, but hop in the Discord if you're not in there. Join the conversation. The game's going to be here.
That's your third plug. You don't get any more.
Join the Discord. What was the other thing? Oh, FFG's got their live stream this week on Wednesday. I think it's about the website, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I believe that's what the description says. So presume they're going over what you'll be able to do on that website.
Yeah, so we'll definitely cover that. And
maybe the website will launch, or like fully launch, because I think it's in like sort of articles only mode right now. So that'll be very exciting.
Oh, that'd be crazy. I'd love that. All right, I think that'll do it for this week. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Conversation Lab, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.